colours will necessarily go into this painting, but I like to have a selection box. I like to have my whole palette out in front of me, and then I choose which ones. Because what you find is, if it's not squirted out in front of your nose, my brain forgets that I own it. You know, if I haven't got lemon yellow on the palette, what you really need is lemon yellow. But if I haven't put it out in front of me, I don't think about it. So, there's a lot of talking going on back there. Somebody's phone. Anyway, we've got here titanium white and buff titanium and Naples yellow deep. Then we've got the main menu, which is lemon yellow, cadmium yellow deep, cadmium red, magenta, primary cerulean blue, ultramarine blue. I used to have just burnt sienna and raw umber, but I've added English light red, because as you can see, it's like a brighter version of burnt sienna. So I have that on there. So it's basically a warm and a cool of all the browns and a few earth tones, and then I've got these extra whites and lights. And that's my full palette. I use sometimes, when I get round to it, painting medium for, this is actually zested lean painting medium in here, so it's sort of slightly oily, but it's relatively for thinning the colours with if you wish. And in here, odorless solvent, this is actually Jackson's Pure Sol odorless solvent, which is one that I ended up buying when we were at Marlborough College last year, and the school were using white spirit, and then they got a new health and safety lady, and we can't do that. So there was a bit of a hoo-ha, and a lot of dashing workshops. And the one thing that they approved was Sansador and Zest would be fine, but they went with Jackson's Pure Sol. And as I had to buy 3 or 4, 5 litre cans, we bought like 80 quid's worth of stuff. Because at the end of the course, there was quite a bit left over and they didn't want it. So I'm now using Jackson's Pure Sol. I just bought some more. And I provide it on all my courses. So if you come on a painting course with me, I have, that's why I've got these label jars. Because I dish them all out so that everyone's using the same. There's very little fumes. You know, it helps cut the fumes down a lot. The trouble is none of it's odorless, totally. There is a very slight odour. Nothing like spirit or turpentine. I personally, this is just one last thing before I start painting. I wonder how much of a good idea odorless solvent is. It's a bit like having odorless gas on your cooker. It's still there. It's still a solvent, but you can't smell it. So you've still got to open the window and ventilate it. And yes, it's fine in a big room like this for a couple of hours, but if you're in your studio or you're in a room at home, even if you're using Zested, which is probably one of the safest ones, it's still got a very small amount of hydrocarbon in it. I know because I have 7 or 8 different sets of health and safety data, and I went through everything finding, well, what's the safest? Because I thought that might be causing my eye problems, but it's not. It's GPs prescribing too much steroids over too many years. Now with a massive reaction to the steroids, and this is all thin skin damaged by the steroids. And it could take a year to get better. It'll never be fully better. I'm sick of reading about, well, if you have this, you have skin atrophy, and you might need counselling. If I'm going to look hideous, I'm going to buy some of those beautiful semi-shaded 1970s glasses. I'm going to have a shade button so you can't see. At the moment, I'm still in the throes of hoping it's going to heal up. Right, should we get on with this painting? I've primed this canvas. This is 18 by 22 inches. And I've primed it, and I've now got paint all over it. With a gesso from the works, or daily around, a cheap white gesso, which I tint to colour. I quite like this cool purple grey for seascapes and winter landscapes. And I quite like a yellow to an almost slightly orangey tint for other brighter subjects. And I'd say, well, pastels work on coloured paper, don't they? And the pastels have coloured paper, and it hasn't. You can work on white, but I quite like working on a colour. So that's why I'm working on this. This is a squirt of ultramarine blue, a bit of red, and a bit of burnt sienna. I think we've stirred in, you squirt 2 or 3 drops in and stir it all in and see what colour you get, and it's kind of more or less purple. We want to decide on this how much is going to be sea and how much is going to be sky. I mean, it's quite a big, I haven't used this picture before, I found it a couple of days ago on the internet, and it's sort of, on the photograph it's halfway, isn't it? I mean, it's a photograph, so it's bound to be halfway. But we don't want it halfway. Question is, do we go much more on the beach and the dunes, or do I drop the horizon a little bit to say about here, so that there's more sea and beach and the dunes are a bit more reduced? Because I think if you put too many dunes in, it's just going to be a dune painting. And also, it is a lovely sky. I have no idea how you do on these sorts of skies. I tend to paint clouds differently as well. So I'm just thinking, maybe we'll have the horizon about there. And I haven't brought a ruler, so if we line that bit back over that, and stick that up, and put some colour on it, but you can just put some spirit. Just get a bit of spirit and option blue or something. I don't know, I do tend to draw on in blue. That will do, so just stick that to there. And go along a bit, and this will do, won't it? The horizon never gets straight when you're doing it anyway. You usually end up at the end of the day with the painting and you think, what I really ought to do is get a ruler on it and straighten the horizon up. So that'll do. There we are. Straightish. Okay? So, having done that, we've got my many packs of old baby wipes, because baby wipes clean oil paint really well off your hands and your face, and not so much of your clothes, and off the painting, but it's really good. God knows what's in it. So the next thing to think about on this composition is this headland, which is, I think that's the headland with the island cut right, and then there's this other slightly nearer rock, which I think behind that, strictly speaking, behind that bit of rock, which you can't really see on here, is that's Booby's Bay and this is Constantine Bay, I think. I've been to other bays on the North Coast, but I haven't actually been there yet, so I'm thinking, I need to get there. So I've got to have two lots of rock coming out, so that's going to come on the horizon. So let's just come along there. As you can see, I often look where I'm holding the brush, right at the end there. So it gives you a bit more movement in the. So go along there. It's going to be quite small in this bit. Now, where's that going to come to the middle? Yeah, probably. Let's just make it a bit shorter. Bring it to there. Because that's the centre bit is about there, isn't it? That's more or less the centre. Let's just chop it back a little bit. So actually, I've done that bit wrong. Well, that's a good start, then, isn't it? If you do it wrong, just get the cloth. Just wipe it back again. I've come too far out on that. The horizon line's still there, up there. Let's just shove it back in. As you can tell, this is well planned. I think if you overplay. Oh dear, sorry. Oh, what's the matter? I'm not painting dogs. Not today. I think that's the centre line. What I should have done was come back to about there for the island and then bring that along there. So this is just, and then because then there's another little rock there. Then it looks like there's two more logs out there. This looks like nothing at the moment. I'm sorry I'm standing in front of it for a second. We'll get that in. And then there's another piece that comes out to there. I'm going to pretend I'm standing a little bit higher. That sort of comes up to there. And then there's another bit of rock that comes out to there. It looks like. This is very small on this, but it will get bigger, don't worry. And then here, there's some dune coming in, and this is where I want my beach to be. And I'm going to bring that beach down a little bit more. So that's rock coming out. In fact, that comes further back. I've done that in the wrong place as well. You can tell I haven't used this painting before, can't you? Just done it wrong again. That comes to there. You've got to get it approximate, right? Yeah, it'll be up here in a minute. Come up there, aren't it? And then this is where the sea's coming in, here. Nobody's asking me anything, it's like it, isn't it? So another bit coming up there. It's going to be the edge of the sea, I think. I could have drawn all this on before, couldn't I? But I was boring. But a bit more sea coming in down there and sand. And that means I can put some sand dunes here, and there's some pink flowers going in there, and bits of dunes, and then there's a bit of small amount of dust sort of coming up there. But over here, some quite tall dunes. I find that if you draw worked out in your head, when you finish painting it, it's really rubbish. You know, it sort of all contrived and beautifully controlled. Sorry?
If you step aside every now and again,
Yeah.
so you can see.
Yeah, well, when's looking over there?
No, it covers that as well. When you're standing.
Oh, sorry. Right, okay, so that's going to come up. This side for a minute. It'll be alright once I've drawing it on. That's sort of June. And that's sort of June coming down there. So that's a bit coming down now. I want to keep it fairly open. Then I've got some more. I put some flowers in there. I've got a few more in there, I think. So that's going to be June. This is going to be bleached. Then we've got the hurrah. Then we've got this bit that's all dripped because it's too thin. We'll worry about that in a minute. But I know roughly what's going where. And I also know that my son, my main son, is actually coming almost over there. But that's going to go down there. That's going to be where the light's going to come in from underneath the cloud. Right. So that's as much drawing as I'm going to do. Do you think that looks all right?
We've got one down here.
Yeah, I know. So does it look anything like it? So I've got the idea that when you're doing a sunset or a seascape, you want it to be believable. But if you go to, I mean, the reason I quite like this colour was because it's quite a sort of soft grey, and there's almost a pinkiness, and then a soft orange, and then a little bit of sun. And in fact, the sun isn't making a massive spot, it's almost making a bit of a line down there. And then there's quite a lot of blue in here. Mainly ultramarine blue, I think, and a bit of mauve. So, and this looks quite brown. I'm going to probably soften that up a bit. So, because it's not really sunset, although it's not quite sunset. But behind this, the sky's fairly blue up here. So it's a question of what colour we're going to use to get that effect. Why did I choose this one then? A bit stupid, isn't it? I think I'm going to get a big brush. I'm going to use some cerulean blue and some white. Sorry?
I thought of that colour, but I can never say it right.
Well, I don't know if it's cerulean or cerulean, or sometimes you can have it in its such primary cyan. I think you just call it what you like. I think I said something to, we had another blue that I used called Sand blue, as in footprints porcelain, when I use my own one. It's slightly different. And I had a French lady on my course, and I said, is it Sèvres or Sèvres or whatever? And she just went, I don't know. So I thought, so it's what you want. Now I've got a sort of quite strong, this is a mix, and maybe a little bit more ultramarine blue and white. I'm trying to just picture blue in the top that's going to act as a sort of foil for my, little bit onto the end. Because I want to get this, at the moment with this purple here on the colour, I can almost leave a little bit and start to imagine how the cloud, I'm not going to paint the clouds on, but I'm just sort of trying to pitch the blue behind it to start with. And that's going to be a bit strong. Oh, yeah, that's it. Don't scratch them. If you see me scratching, shout at me. Because my husband is, and all my students are in the class, everybody's shouting at them. Don't scratch my eyes. So doctor, the only thing the doctor gave me, didn't really have antihistamine to stop the itch. I said, oh, and when I looked at what he'd given me, antihistamines you buy at the supermarket are 10 milligrams. He gave me ones, each tub's 180 milligrams. I thought, they're not that itchy. So I took one, and because the itch disappeared, and I took one of the 10 milligrams, and the itch disappeared in that. I thought, I think I'll take the 10 milligrams. So I'm just trying to picture in some feeling of this. There's going to be quite a lot of clouds behind. So can you see how dry that is? I'm really going into the paint with, I have got my oil medium, but I'm just using hardly any thinner. See that brush here, it's still, that's clean there, the paint's only sitting on the top half. If you keep constantly dipping your brush into your spirit, it builds up, and you get this lovely sludge bit that comes in the bottom, and then you go, and it all goes sludge all over your painting. You think, oh, I don't really like this sort of paint, it's really messy. You think, no, you just put the brush too wet. So that's sort of giving me a feeling of that. That is quite dry, you can see that's coming in there. And then there's another little bit of turquoise. I'm always looking at this picture, looking at the sky behind. So if I take some cerulean blue with a tiny bit of maple jello in it, a sniff of maple jello in it, you get a sort of turquoisey green. See how green that's gone? That's almost too green there, even with a sniffette of what's. But there is a little bit of something coming up there. It's slightly green. I'm going to put that in there, and then there will be some orange coming up. Not much green. Might put too much green, and we'll just shove it in. It's sort of coming together. I think with skies, you just need to keep doing them. And ideally, I would say go outside or look out the window, you can sit in the window, where you can actually see. Hopefully you can see something fairly low down. Might be a load of roofs, it might be just a horizon, it could be anything. But you get to see the bottom of the sky going up, and you'll see how much bluer or stronger the colour is and how much it fades. Watercolourists make this because they do this thing called a graded wash. And they go on, oh yeah, do a graded wash in it, and I take the clouds out. I don't, I have to grade my own wash. So, what we need now is I'm going to start to think about this pinkiness coming in here. Now, if you take bright orange yellow and a touch of cadmium red, you think, well, that's going to be really strong. Well, it doesn't have to. You can mix a sort of lovely salmon pink colour. It almost mixes better, I think. It's quite orangey, orangey. You can use it with, I'll show you again what I'm doing here. I'm sort of taking, that's mainly yellow, going with a touch of red, adding a book, and it gets that sort of salmon colour. So it wants to be a bit reddier out here and out there. And maybe up there a little bit. Just bring that in, and then come a little bit more yellow. There is some quite strong yellow in the middle, but this will do for now. I can catch it a little bit yellow. When you want the really bright yellow or the really bright whiteness of the sun, don't paint it white. Paint it white with a hint of lemon yellow. Lemon yellow. Don't know why? Shines brighter than white on its own. There's probably some technical reason why it does it. I have no idea. But just try it.
I'll just yell the words colour theory, everyone.
Sorry?
I'll just say colour theory to everyone. It was colour theory.
Well, yeah, but I have found that it is interesting how that seems to work quite well. I'm going to put a little bit of red on the sea there to remind me. And then that's coming up here. And just sort of put that up there. Maybe take a little bit of the light up there into there a bit. There's a bit of this blue. And now I want to get on with the cloud colour. Quite interesting doing this. I've never done a sky like this before. If you're not careful, you fall into the habit of having your own standard cloud shapes. Do you find that? Or is that just me? You look at the skies and they can all get a bit samey. Some people are nodding, some people are looking at me. Right, so what I want is I want a sort of cloud colour, and it's quite mauve. Now, I have got a tube of violet grey that I sometimes use, but I prefer, if I can, to mix the purple. I'm going to use ultramarine magenta and some white. So at the moment I've got a purple that's like that colour. That's quite purple, really. Well, we don't want it purple, do we? We want it cloud colour. So I'm going to take a reasonably strong mix of that to start with, and then dirty it with some complementary yellow. Sometimes you can do it with complementary, well, it's not complementary, you can do it with buff titanium and just lighten it. If you put a little bit of maple jelly in it, it should go a greyer colour. Can you see the difference? I've almost gone too grey. But you see what a difference it's had putting the maple jelly in. I think that's too much. But I think I've not brought my spare pot of cleaner with me. Just come back a bit and make it a bit pinker. And just see. So it's got the yellow in, but I'm remixing the mauve on top together. And in fact, because what you've got here, well, that's not so bad. And then you've got these patterns of purple. Still using the same big brush. I've come to the conclusion if you can't paint, get a bit of brush. But what they say, if you can't find, wear a big hat. You can't paint, just get a bigger brush. And if you've got one about, 3 inches across, people go, oh, they must know what they're doing. Who knows? No one's going to argue with you with a brush that big, are they? Now, as it's looking at this, those clouds are getting almost a bit heavier up here. They're more blue, they're purpley blue. So I think, and I don't know, I'm just coming back from I'm going to take a little bit of the red, a little bit of the English light red to warm the colour up a bit up here and see what happens. Don't know. It's all relatively thin. We could have this paint put on a lot thicker, but it's quite a complicated sky. It's not the usual sort of, what's it size? It's not the usual, here's the sun, 2 clouds going over it and a ray coming underneath it. It's quite complicated, so I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I find it's much more interesting, I hope it's much more interesting if the demonstrator hasn't practiced it and hasn't got much of a clue about where it's going. Because then what you find is you find out whether they can paint or not. Because they're not following a formula. I've seen certain demonstrators that follow a bit of a formula. And you think, I better paint that picture 5 times before. I've never done this picture before. I've done sunsets before, but I've never done one quite like this. It feels like it's a bit more yellow than the top there. And this purple is feeling a bit the same colour at the moment. But I'm not sure I want to make it much different. This is too dark at this stage, I don't know. It's quite a lot darker at the moment. Let's just go a little bit. Right, quite big dark. Oh, having said that, I'm going to put some dark in over there. On that side, what do you think? Is that bringing it a bit more? You're all very quiet. This means when the audience is very quiet, it means one of 2 things. They're so transfixed that you're just being such a genius that marvellous. Or they're thinking, my God, she's really rubbish, and I'm her again. You never really know. It's a nervous thing of considering too many demonstrations, I think. How is it looking? Is it looking any good?
I think I like the sky before, actually. But it's much to say that.
You like the sky before? When it's a bit lighter?
Yes.
When you're not getting a bit lighter now? It's gone darker.
I'm still interested to see where it's going to go.
I think we've got enough darks in there, and I think I've lost a little bit of the blue behind, and a little bit of the lightness. But hey, while I've got this strong blue sort of purple, it's blue and magenta and a bit of English light red, so it's quite a dark colour. I'm going to whack this on here as well. Because once we get a colour on there, on the sea, not so much over there, that needs to be lighter. That will give me my first intonation of the sea. And you're thinking, well, that's really dark and purple as well. It will get better. One thing you have to bear in mind, Royals, is you should paint from thin darks to thick highlights. So you start on the dark side and then gradually drawing it back to the light side. So I would agree it's looking a bit dark at the moment, but I'm not worried about it yet. Might be worried about it later, at which time I shall nip out the car to get some spirit disappeared. I did bring my second jar of clean, which I'm going to need after tea break, so I'm going to have to go out and get my second jar, which is in the boot somewhere in the class. It's looking a little bit, it is looking a bit dark, but I want to get the feeling of that cloud pattern in early, and then I'll worry about tarting up later. I also want to get in the colour for the beach, which again is quite salmony really. It could be, it's looking at, there's quite a lot of pink coming in here, but it's more of a pink than it is of a golden sand, because obviously there's a lot of colour coming in from the fact that the sun's gone down. And this sea over here is quite light, so I'm just going to put, that is my light red, which it isn't really, no, it's my cadmium red and the cadmium yellow deep. More cadmium red coming in. So I'm telling all these brushes now, I'm going to use one so far. We might use some others. Just want to get a colour on there that's going to sort of represent the sea and the sand, and I'm not really worried about what's sea and what's sand at the moment. That's coming up there. Now we brought the sand down a lot, haven't we? We brought the sand. I'm still going to keep it a bit pinkish on this bit, I think, because that's quite. There's quite a lot of quite wet there. There's tides come up a fair way on this photograph by the looks of it. But then further down, it's the grass, the sand dune colour is a dry or yellow colour. Well, it's almost white, but we make it a bit yellowy. Just put that into there. It's too yellow, it's more white. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants some really good quality student paint in a big tube, like this Georgian, which isn't very good, it's all right, it's watery, 200ml tubes. At the moment, online, on the Great Art Catalogue, Vernissage oil paint, which is their own brand, is down at £6.59 a tube for a tube that big. I've just ordered 3 tubes of white and maple yellow and a lemon yellow.
What was the name of the website?
It's greatart.co.uk. And it's on sale because the normal retail price is only £8.60. So it's normally dirt cheap, but it's 20% off at the moment. And I meant to put it in I didn't spot it until after I'd sent my newsletter out. So if you're on the oily round, you usually get a reminder. And I'll say, get the owner too. Get the owner. They have got a shop in Shoreditch in London. They've got a big art store because they sell everybody else's stuff as well. And you can go there and you can just buy it because if you buy the paint, well, that's green up there. If you buy the colour, if you order it online, they ship it direct from Germany. It's German company. So I've ordered it about a week ago and I've just had the invoice, so I reckon it'll be another week. I think it's going to take me about 2 weeks to get hold of this paint. If I'd got on the train and gone up to Shoreditch, I probably could have got it same day. But I'm quite happy. I just thought it's on the sale. I've got 1 or 2 big tubes of white left. I'll get 3 more. I think the last time it was on sale, I ended up buying 9 tubes of titanium white because all of my students said, "Oh, I'll have a tube, I'll have a tube." So I said, "Well, look, I'll just put 1 big order in, and then we can take it from there. We'll have a, I'll just come distribute it all out." I said, "You might have to wait a couple of weeks," and they did. But at least then, everyone got cheap paint. And it's not just, it's got more pigment in it than the Georgian. I would say it's better than Georgian, similar to Winsor & Newton Winton paint. And they only make 200ml tubes. You can't buy a small tube. They make about 20 colours and all in giant tubes. I've got loads of them. Because I skip doing courses. I must have 200 quid worth of paint sitting in the crate, which is all the students when I do courses now. I have to provide the paint when I take the paint. It's very good stuff. So we've got a very rough copy. This is a very rough initial block in. I haven't put the clips in yet, but I'm also going to mix up. I'm going to take a smaller brush. I think actually I might take this number 4 long filbert. This one's in the beginner set, by the way. The big one isn't, but that's not. I'm just going to think about a nice sort of cool grass colour for these, for the wobbsits, for the dunes grasses. Woman, can't think of the word. Just wondering what colour we want. That's a bit too blue. Right, so that's ultramarine. I think we might need cerulean blue for this. And maybe, not lemon yellow, maybe the orange yellow, the cadmium yellow. Maybe a bit of cerulean and maple yellow. Look at that. That's not bad. Cerulean and maple yellow is an interesting sea green colour. That is quite a sea green colour. It might need to be turned down a bit. But not quite green. It is quite green. It's quite a strong. It does look rather green, doesn't it? It's a yellow in it. It's more. I don't know. Just trying to judge it. What a funny colour these. So some of them look really quite green, some of them are quite sort of browny coloured. I don't know. But I I've used cerulean blue. I thought I was going to use ultramarine blue, but I actually used cerulean blue to get that strength. You can always go darker, I think, little bits of. So if you use the ultramarine blue, see how that's quite a different sort of colour. But then there is some different colours in there. Just at the moment, just trying to stand away from it and see what I'm doing and not block everybody and just sort of think, oh, where are we going with this then? I don't really know. It's a bit of dark in there. A bit of blue in there. But you can use this brush to sort of flick quite fine and roll it on its edge to get a feeling, and that wants to be quite blue over there, I think. Now that's fading to brown, so let's just go ultramarine blue and cadmium in a deep. Go quite a lot darker up there to sort of establish the back of the. Yeah, let's do that. Put that in there. And then we've got these leaves. Now these plants, they've actually got leaves on them. They've got leaves on them. These flowery plants, yeah, they have. They've got different sorts of leaf. This is very rough. This is very much spend the first hour or so blocking in your painting, just getting a feel for how it's going to look, and then coming back and thinking, what the hell have I done? But yeah, there's a bit of pink in there. Is it interesting, or is it sort of sending you to sleep? No, I think that's okay. I just want to get that background clipping, which I thought I'd forgotten about. So we want to come up here, and there's quite a dark, it's quite brown looking, but it can be a sort of warmish colour because we've got all this warm. This one is darker, so this is at the foreground. So it comes down here, and then there's an extra little lump of rock. There's not very much rock there. And then behind it, I'm going to tone it down with. That's ultramarine blue and raw umber to get a sort of cool, distant sort of green. And when I put this in, that's with a bit of titanium in it and more raw umber. If I'm standing in front of it, it's too much. I'm just trying to get that colour to go out there. Comes more or less together. And then it comes down, and then there's another lump. And then there's a lump, and another lump, and a lump over there. More or less. I probably need to put the details on that one with a fine round brush. But you can get a fairly fine line with the flat. Well, they're not flat, they're sort of oval. They're filberts, but they're German filberts. So the Germans tend to do a flat brush with just a little curved end and call that a filbert, which is not quite the same as the English one, which is fine. Right, let's find some mauve. I've lost all the mauve. So just mix a bit more of the purple colour for the sea. More or less that colour. It's going to have to go a bit lighter, but I'll just put that sea colour in for now. And then that comes up there. Yeah, because there's a whole other layer of paint going here, yes, isn't there? This is just chuck it on and hope sort of colour. Anybody got any questions? Or maybe I shouldn't ask it. And that's something really awkward now when nobody answers. Stunned silence.
Blocking.
Have you had any exhibitions this year? Has it been any good? I mean, I sort of, towards the end of last year, I was sort of beginning to sort of lose the will to live a bit, really. But this year, I sold a picture already. And Annie, but the exhibition hasn't even finished yet. She thinks she sold one at the exhibition in Putney. And yes, we got invited to a neighbour's house. And he's got a lovely classic car, and my husband keeps classic cars, so he's trying to be really friendly, but it's a bit boring. Go there for the evening, and by the end, we went once before, it was a very long evening. But he does have lovely wine, and his food's lovely, and we talked to him. I thought, well, there might be other people there we could talk to. And I met his brother, who'd come down from Nottingham, and they were so different. You couldn't believe they were related. I mean, he was such a different person. And we got on really well with them. And I'm just going to infill this a little bit, so we've got the whole area of the beautiful sort of, everywhere's got paint on it, you know? That's quite a pinky colour. Not sure how it's going to, that might need to be purple, but I'm just temporarily going to put some colour in there, so that I can get to the beginning of the first bit of the paint phase and have it all blocked in. Or albeit very roughly. And then we'll start thinking about what I'm actually going to, how I'm going to create the painting. But can you see, it's kind of there in a sort of dark, dark and mysterious sort of way. There aren't really any highlights, it's all looking a little bit like it's perhaps a bit dull and flat. But I just want to make sure that hopefully I've got everything in more or less the right place on the canvas. And yeah, the upshot was, his wife came along and they said, oh, come and look at your studio, you know, they like to have a nose, and that's fine. But I haven't done any of the studios, so I'm just thinking, well, probably someone will break their leg going down these steps and that'll be it, I'll be sued or whatever, so I don't tend to do that. But they came in and had a look, they're standing in the studio and then going up on my husband's car, and Julie said to her husband, she said, do you like that painting on the wall? It was in a frame. It was one of a few that I had in the studio. And she said, I think that would look very nice on our lounge wall. So in the end they borrowed it before Christmas. I loaned it to them, but they live in Nottingham. I said, well, hopefully you're coming back at some stage. Because if you don't want it, I do want it back. They took it and they bought it. But they've got it's a lot of purple and gold, and it's in a brownish frame, purple brown frame. It looks fabulous in the frame. They've got a navy blue wall, a really dark navy blue wall. It dies on the wall. And she said, well, we don't understand it because it looks so dark on our wall. And when she sent me a photograph of her room, I said, it looks dark on the wall. It needs a gold frame or it needs a light creamy frame because it needs something to separate it out. Whereas this dark blue frame, it's the same. I think it's the same tone. You know what I mean? The tones are so matching. It's sinking into the wall. So I've now got to send her a whole load of frame samples, and I think in April they're coming back, so she's bringing it back to me in April. By which time they'll have chosen the frame, I'll have had it made up, and we can swap them over.
It should be decorated.
Sorry?
It should be decorated.
Well, there is that, but I can't see it somehow. The whole room is very dark and heavy and blue. And a wooden fireplace, and then the other pictures there's a lot of gold in there. I think in the gold frame, the right gold frame is look great. So we'll see which one they choose. They're putting a big selection. At the moment, you buy little bits and pre-cut edges. Now I'm sticking them all together to make some corners to send to her. We'll see. But at least it's sold and she's paid me for it. That's the most important. She's paid me for the picture. And unless the frame might end up being quite a bit more expensive, I don't know. If it's not much in it, I'm not going to say anything, but if it is quite a lot, I'm going to say, well, I'm really sorry, but, you know, there is obviously an allowance for framing in my price, but, you know, if it's like 80 quid and I've only budgeted 50, I'm not going to That's quite promising already. And that's just the first thin layer. But what we've got here, what I need now, is I need to bring the light back into the sky and actually paint the sun in. I'm going to before we, I don't know what time we have to do it. You have to do it?
I think about 40 past.
Sorry?
About now.
About now-ish. Okay, right, so that's what happened, isn't it? If I just put a little bit more yellow in there before tea break, because what I want, there is actually a sun in this painting, on the photo, and there is going to be a strong light. If you're going to put anything that's a very bright sun, you almost need a dark gold and orange behind it for the lighter bit of sun to sort of shine out again. So if I just darken that up a little bit there in preparation for what's going on next. Right.
This is the right moment to interrupt. So
Of course it's right moment to interrupt. Right. Now which set of brushes are we going to go for? That's got a round and a flat and the number 4 round that I've been using here for watercolour, but that's a watercolour brush really. And this one's got the long filbert that I'm using at the moment, the round that I've used, and I've just put paint all over the back of it, and the number 8 as opposed to number 12. Depends how many oils and watercolours you've got, or what you're going to do with them. Well, after tea break, I expect a decision. After which I will just clean the finish with something packaging. Only packaging, but I'll clean the thing at the same time. I just put the extra thing on this, it's more valuable. Watercolour? Watercolour? Yeah, there are more watercolour there, I think, than petrol. Yeah, that's right. That's all right. One colour. to the back. Well, should we choose that? Choose that. I'm a tea drinker. I'm sort of white tea with no sugar. But no sugar. Tea, no sugar. Right. Anybody got any last minute questions before we pause?
Yeah.
Anybody got any last minute questions before we pause for tea break?
I trust the process.